we hope that it's a beautiful day wherever you're joining us from. This is Donald Freeman Bay, and I'm glad to be able to host this call this morning. We had some very interesting and exciting things going on this week. For many of us, we officially got our Main Street Planner kits. So now we officially are in business and ready to go out and spread the message of this opportunity to those who are in desperate need of it. Also this morning rather, we have a guest. And this guest is one that I am very, very thankful to be able to join us for our training this morning. This is a gentleman that I've only known for a very short period of time, but I've come to realize two very important characteristics about this gentleman. One is his integrity. What he says, you can pretty much count on it being his word, and that he's going to go all out in an effort to make it right. And I'm also impressed with his passion and his commitment to go out and spread this message that many people need. Many people need to have the knowledge and the understandings of how to protect what they are working very hard to acquire, and that is their retirement. Most of us have gotten to a point where we have allowed others to carry that very important place and position and decision making in their hands. And as you can see by the things that have gone on, many of us are lost out because of that. So this is a new time, new day. We're going to go out, spread a message of hope to people. And the gentleman that I'm going to be bringing on in a moment, he is joining us from Salt Lake City, Utah. He is a co-founder of Main Street Asset Planners. So he comes to us with a great deal of knowledge, not only about the products and assets, but about the company and its overall. So we're going to be able to get a lot of information this evening. I keep saying this evening because I got up very early, but this morning. And we're going to also have an opportunity to share in the understanding of some very important asset classes. So I advise everybody on the call to take notes, and if you have any questions, that there will come a time in the broadcast here where we will allow you to post a question to us. So hopefully this is going to be an opportunity for everybody to gain some knowledge and be able to go out and to make this a very successful business venture. This morning we're going to talk about structured settlements or pension factoring. And having said that, I'd like to bring our presenter on this morning, co-founder Gary Munson. Gary?
Donald, thank you. That was a glowing introduction, and I hope to be able to live up to that. But I do absolutely love what Main Street does, and I'm grateful for the time you guys are putting in to learn about this, because I think we've got some real powerful truths that need to be shared with people. Today, we're going to talk about a couple of things about structured settlement and pension factoring. And then towards the end, we're going to also talk about a little bit about income and how the different companies that we sell for pay us. So which is, at the end of the day, we've got to make money for the time away from our families and our lives. So let's just jump into structured settlements and pension factoring. And again, on that GoToWebinar control panel, please feel free to enter questions. We'll knock out as many as you've got and talk through this, as long as people have questions. So let's look at I've got this little graphic of the core 4 pillars that we help people with at Main Street. We've got real estate. Looks like that graphic's a little messed up there. Real estate, lending, structured settlements, and gold and silver. And today we're going to talk about the structured settlement portion of this. Now, one thing that I like to do is use this asset class summary to help our clients consider what's really important on a long-term savings asset. And there's these 5 factors that I think people need to consider. One is returns. Two is how does it cash flow, or how do how do the returns come out? Three, what does it do with inflation or in an inflationary period? Four is how is the principal itself protected? And then five is liquidity, meaning if I need to get access to my funds, if I needed to convert this to cash right away, what's the measure of that against other kinds of things? Now, down towards the bottom of the chart, we've got mutual funds and CDs, which are, I think, the more common long-term savings assets that people understand. And so people, can gauge these five categories against CDs and mutual funds, so they can kind of do a comparison. So, I'm going to start at the bottom because CDs are pretty common with folks. In fact, I understand there's more retirement dollars in CDs and money market accounts than there are in equities, which is like stocks and mutual funds. And so CDs and money markets very similar. Money market account is kind of like well, it's almost like a checking account that you open up somewhere. They give you maybe about the type of rate of return you get on a certificate of deposit at the bank, but you don't have to leave it in there for a fixed period of time. A certificate of deposit is something that our clients give their money to the bank for a period of time. It's usually 6 months, sometimes as long as 6 years. Now, they think there's a penalty, and they think that those are completely illiquid, meaning that they can't get at it. And that's not true. If you had $100,000 at the bank in a CD, and if you needed to access that in month 4 and you were on a 12-month CD, you can go get your money. You just forfeit your interest. It's not that you lose your money or can't get it. You just give up what you were going to earn. And so returns on that are a 1 star. And if you look at the legend at the bottom, we've got, excellent is 4 stars, great is 3, 2 is good, and 1 is fair. Cash flow, not good, because it's not, you don't get anything until the end of the CD period. Against inflation, it's not good. Generally, CDs and money markets stay about equal with what inflation is. And right now we're in a real strange period where CDs at the bank are only paying 1.5, and we're probably looking at inflation in the 6% plus range. So it's behind that. Principal protection on a CD is great. FDIC insured as long as your account is underneath that FDIC per account threshold. Of protection. And then liquidity, pretty good, again, because you can go get it if you need to. Mutual funds, better returns, at least an opportunity to receive better. Cash flow, again, not good, because the only way to get your money out of a mutual fund, even if it's the return, is to sell it. Against inflation, better than a CD, but not the greatest in the world. Principal protection, not good. And liquidity, pretty good, because you can call your broker tomorrow and sell it. Generally in a day or so, maybe 2 days, you can have your funds. So let's look up in comparison to structured settlements. Again, I need to work on that. Looks like on that formatting. So structured settlements, returns, not bad, better, definitely better than what we get in a CD. We're going to have probably 6 to 8%. We'll go into the details here in a minute. Cash flow is excellent. Structured settlements, you can arrange to get those payments every single month if that is your desire. How does it stack up against inflation? And that's the one, I think, weakness that's the most glaring in a structured settlement, because if we go into a real strong inflationary period where, like we had back in the 80s, where, CDs at the bank were actually paying 18 and mortgages were 18%. If we're in a structured settlement that's locked in, and it is locked in for the period of time we're getting our payout, and we're locked in at 6%, then our money isn't keeping up with inflation at all. And that's really the downside there. Principal protection is very excellent on these things. They're as good as the pay or of the obligation, again, which we'll go into in a minute, but that's usually going to be the US government or a massive, massive insurance company. The liquidity is not good on these things. On a structured settlement, you agree to receive your payments over a period of time, and that's what it is. The only way you can change it is if you could find someone to buy that income stream from you. So just kind of a comparison there. Hopefully that makes some sense as we look at how these things stack up against people's kind of standard thinking on investments. So let's go into kind of why structured settlements are great. And these are steady, very stable kinds of income. And in my mind, compares again steadiness to like CD at the bank. In fact, the great thing is just the rates of return are much higher. Again, the structure, the strength of that is based on the strength of the institution that's making the payments. Again, usually a government entity or a big insurance company. There are a couple of options where someone could, take a, work with maybe a state government, but the rate of return has to go up a little bit to offset that risk, because you see what happens in California, different cities declaring bankruptcy all the time. But again, usually the government or a massive insurance company. Sometimes our client can kind of choose for how long they want to be paid. We have two different vendors that offer us structured settlements. And one of them just says, okay, how long do they want to be paid for? And so, if you want me to spread it out over 10 years, that's fine. The shortest it can be paid out is over 5 years. And our other company just gives us an existing income stream that's been established for someone else. And so sometimes they can choose how long they want it to be. The rest of the time, it's just the way that the structure of the existing cash flows is established. And again, sometimes they look at that. I'm just getting ahead of my PowerPoint, but they can choose the thing that suits them the best. Okay, so what is a structured settlement? A structured settlement is someone that's been awarded a monthly income payment. Maybe I was in an automobile accident, and my personal injury attorney sued the person who hit me's insurance company. I won the court case, and I'm awarded, some money. And the way that the judge likes these things to be paid out is so I don't go blow all my money this weekend. They like it to come in a monthly income stream. So they go to an insurance company and buy a financial instrument that's called an annuity, which just means you get monthly payments that's going to total up, the sum of money that you're owed. Also, state lotteries or national lotteries like to pay out in this way as well. So we've got someone who's got an income stream. And we've also got someone who's got a need for a lump sum of money right now. And that's why they're looking to sell their income stream. Maybe they're, again, looking to settle a divorce or go in and start a business, whatever it might be. They feel like the need for the sum of money is more than the need for the ongoing monthly payments. And so they'll trade their monthly checks for the sum of money right now. And so what our vendors do is their job is to go out and find people that are in this situation right here, where they've got the money, they've got a current need, of a lump sum, and so then they arrange to come and find people like us who have clients with big sums of money that would like to trade it in for a long-term income stream. And then their job is to do the due diligence, make sure that there's no pending lawsuits against these people, or there's no claims against that income stream, because people can go attach their legal claims to these income streams. To make sure there's maybe not alimony or child support due to that. And so they make sure that these income streams are clear, and then they go ahead and go through the legal process of reassigning the income stream to our client. And it takes some time. But again, for the reward it brings is nice, 6 to 8% kind of returns. And the ones that I see are usually more in the 6 to 7% range. Again, when we get up towards the 8% range, this is a payor or an institution that's not quite as stable as the U.S. government or Prudential life insurance company. It's usually maybe like a bigger corporation like Microsoft or General Electric that's paying out, or maybe again a state that's paying out a retirement pension. So we get that extra 1% to offset the risk of maybe being an entity that's not quite as physically strong. Okay, so let's look at some of the details on these things as we sit down with our client and they choose to have this kind of an asset class in the portfolio. We just got to know that it takes some time to complete the transaction. They've got to go through the due diligence. And again, the companies are out, checking to make sure that this is a clean income stream, that there's no legal claims on it, and that it's strong and a great place for our clients to put their money. And then they go through the courts, and there's nothing really fast about dealing with the courts, and so that's why it does take a little longer than our other income streams. But they reassign that income to our buyer, and once in a while all this due diligence is happening, the seller of the income stream changes their mind, or maybe finds a more favorable way to fund their problem. And so about 30% of the time, a deal doesn't get through to completion. So these are things to just kind of have in mind as we're dealing with this kind of an asset class. So let's take a look at what these things actually look like. So this is, I had a client that had about $40,000 that she wanted to allocate to this asset class. We'd taken her through our asset allocation questionnaire, and answered questions about how long she had till she needed her money. She didn't need her money for about 10 years. And so, we looked at this was about 35 to 40% of what her total income, or what the total amount of money she had to invest was. And so we contacted the one vendor and we said, hey, we're not really sure. She's nervous about having this money locked up for 5 years and not having access to it. So even though she doesn't need the money for 10 years, the liquidity was important to her. So we looked at a 5-year option. And we found out that, to get the commission that we needed on this kind of a plan, we could give her money at 6%. And for us as planners, these companies will pay us more commission as we offer a slightly lower interest rate to our client. And so if we had offered the client 5.75% interest, we would have made more commission. Conversely, if we'd have offered it to the client at 6.25%, we would have made less commission. And so what we'll do is and you don't have to worry about that too much. We'll worry about that here inside, and we'll just kind of give you the income streams and let the client kind of pick and choose based on the number of years at a given rate of return that pays you the commission that you need. So this is one where she was looking at an immediate start paying me right now and pay it for 5 years, and the return was about 6%. And so her payment was $770 a month for 60 months. And that was kind of what it looked like for her. And you'll see there that part of the payment, it kind of looks like a mortgage amortization that you see on your mortgage, where part of your payment is interest and part of it's a return of the principal. And so here we've got that same situation where you can see that even though the monthly payment is the same, the interest starts to decrease just a little bit, and the payment portion of the amount of money that comes back, or the principal, is increasing. And so this is what it looks like at 5 years. She was getting $770. I also had him run it for me at 7 years. And so the 7-year stream of income, still at 6%, dropped that down to $581 a month. And I also had him run it for us at 10 years. And so the 10-year stream of income was $460. And so again, one of our vendors does it like this, where they just set it up on a structure and it's very flexible, which is nice. We can kind of go to the client and find out what they need and structure it, to make sense for them based on their needs. The other the other vendor that we work with, just kind of goes out and again finds people with these income streams, and they don't rearrange them into the number of payments we want or the number of years. This is how it is, and you can buy it. So this is one that we also presented to the client. It was $48,000, so it was a little bit more, but I thought it was a little bit more beneficial for her. This one actually was a $48,000 investment for the client. And you remember how I was telling you that, we'll go to the rates we chose in just a sec. This is paid out from Monumental Life Insurance, which is a really strong A-rated company. And this is 120 payments that had been awarded to somebody. And it was $800 a month that was paid out, but it didn't start for 7 years. And so 7 years, the income starts, it pays for 10. So 17 years from now, the payment stream was finished. But what it did was it paid her $96,000 for her $48,000 investment. And it's interesting, in the beginning webinar, generally I tell people that these kind of income streams, they are the bigger, and they usually get better returns if the income stream starts later on. And that's why the payout that she got was so much bigger, is because there was a 7-year delay in that, and that's time for that 7 years for that income to grow at 6%. Does that make sense? I hope so. So she got $96,000 on this one, and you'll notice that if she got a 6% or 6.5% rate of return, it would cost her $45,000 to buy that stream of income. Or if we offered it to her at 6%, um, it would pay out $48,000. And so you can kind of see down at the bottom that there's a spread, which is our commission. And so, as I was saying before, at 6.25%, it paid $1,200 of commission. At 6%, it paid $2,500 commission. And then if we lowered the rate and offered her just a little bit less, that paid, again, some more commission. And we'll worry about all of that, and we'll make sure that the commission is right for you guys while we still have a great return product for our client, and then they can pick and choose. So this particular client, is still just trying to choose which one of those income streams she likes, or if structured settlements is the pillar that she wants to take. She may decide that she just wants to do some of our non-recourse lending. And so she's trying to figure that out. Let me take a peek here and see if I've got any questions so far. I don't. Donald, let me have you chime in just a bit. Is that kind of what you were hoping to learn about structured settlements? What's your feeling on what we've covered so far?
So far, I believe that you are covering pretty much what I wanted to know, and I'm pretty sure that's the question most people want to know. What is a structured settlement? How does it work? And basically getting to how we will be compensated off of that.
Okay. Super. In fact,
you're on track.
Okay, perfect. Well, let me shift gears here, and let's take a look at compensation here. If I can get my computer to open up, and let's just kind of take a peek at what it looks like, and how we're compensated for this, and kind of how it flows through the compensation plan. Let me see if I can get rid of this close full screen thing. I don't know what that means. Okay, there we go. So if we had a client that had, say, $100,000, just for the sake of round numbers, and we went through and did an asset allocation with them, and the asset allocation said, let's put 40% in real estate, let's put 30% in lending, let's put 10% in metals, let's put 20% that's left in something that we call a fund, which is an opportunity for them to kind of earn a little bit better rate of return with a kind of smaller sum of money. We'll talk about We'll talk about the commissions that are created, and in the fund, what this is like in what I talk about in the original overview, is a hard money fund, where we've got somebody who's a manager, a property kind of an asset manager, and they lend money out to people on those hard money projects over a short period of time. And so we set the money with them. And this particular one that I like the best is actually based in Austin, and it's called the Austin A-List. And it generally pays, based on the sum of money. For this particular client, that would be $20,000 in there. $20,000, I think, would pay them 6%. And they have pretty good liquidity. I think they could sell it after 1 year and get access to that money. So that one is, it doesn't pay a ton of commission, but it's a good place for people to put their money. So let's just kind of walk through this. There's $1,275 of commission for setting up the IRA LLC, or the self-directed IRA. And then depending on the real estate company that we set, the property with, depending on the property that someone buys, I'm assuming that this $40,000 was just one property. And so if they bought one property, there's about $2,000 or so in commission. And then if we did some non-recourse lending, they go out and invest in some notes that are secured on some great properties. Based on 30 grand, there's about, well, $1,000, $1,100 of commission there. And then, on the metals, there's about $300. It's about 3 points there. And then on the fund, we've got all the commission there that totals up. And it's kind of variable. And I wish that there was an easier way to know for sure what we were going to get. But because sometimes the client will choose, less real estate, and maybe they want, pension factoring. I don't have a dollar in for pension factoring on this one, but maybe this client were to choose, instead of lending and the hard money fund, maybe they put it all in pensions. And so, so there's not really an easy way to say what it's going to be every single time. But just know that each asset class has a commission that's available, and we'll generally set it to where we're going to make about 5% or so, on $100,000 investment total. Um, and so the way that that's paid out is, if I'm a starting planner in this situation, each of us start out in the compensation plan at planner, which is 50% of that available commission. Then, when that thing is done, we're going to be paid $2,400 or so for working with that client and helping them get their assets structured in a place where they're better protected. When we become a field supervising office, a field supervisor, our commission goes up to 80%, and we're making about $3,900 for doing that particular program for that client. And again, I wish it was the same every single time, but we're not selling a product that's fixed every time. And but just know that we're going to be compensated really well for helping. For helping our clients. And I think what I'm going to do is try and figure out a way to create kind of a spreadsheet and maybe post it on the back office of the website to where we can just kind of do an estimate, of what of what we'd earn in certain situations, or maybe I'll just make some, maybe some standard, if they've got 50,000, if they've got 150,000, if they buy 3 pieces of real estate, or if they buy 1, kind of where our commission's at, because it's pretty variable. But generally, we're going to make about a total of 5% if we're at 100,000. Does that kind of make sense, Donald?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Well, I'm again. I wish it was just cut and dry standard stuff, but because we're selling variable things, it's going to be different. But if we moved, the money, if we put more money in pensions and less in that fund, we're going to make more commission because pensions pay more than that fund does. But first and foremost, we're going to do the right thing for the client, and then we're going to make sure that we get great commissions, for our planners. And so, we definitely want to work to make sure that we're doing the right thing for the client, but we'll make sure that we get compensated really well for doing what we do. And let's see. So, on this chart, we've also got kind of an override situation. And so, if I was an advisor, which means that I've passed some knowledge exams and I've been able to see, a few plans go through my team, then, if I'm the advisor and I've got a planner, you can look down at the 10%. So I'd make $487 when my new planner went out and did a new deal. And these numbers are a little bit higher than we've got, that we show on the original recruiting presentation. Just trying to be conservative on that recruiting presentation, but I think most of our situations will actually look more like this. And then, when Cedric, becomes his own field supervising office, and Cedric, I think, is direct to you, Donald. Every time someone in Cedric's field supervising office does a $100,000 program like this, then Donald's going to earn an 8% royalty on that person. So that's going to motivate Donald, obviously, to help Cedric, be the best field supervising officer he can be, and help his folks in his group grow and be as strong as they can, because that's great money going into Donald's pocket every single time. So, so I think what we've got is a good, fair compensation plan. It's fun to work in an industry that pays a good, big, solid commission for doing the right thing for people. But we can also make great money just doing one or two different transactions per month. And I'm not going to stop you, Donald. If you want to do 4 or 5 a month, that's okay too. But hopefully that makes some sense. Let's see if we've got. I don't have any questions, so either I'm being clear or I'm being crazy murky. Donald, what questions do you have? Do you have any questions at this point about it?
Well, while we're waiting on some others to ask the question, I will go back to the royalty part.
Okay.
Um, unlike is this like network marketing or MLM, where you pay different levels?
Yeah, it's
Let's
a great.
say how many levels will we pay as far as if Cedric went out and began to bring planners into his own business? How far down do he go
Well, that's a
per
really good
generation?
question. Let me grab the compensation plan brochure. It is available, and I've got it somewhere on my machine, but it's actually faster for me to get it from the website. So on the Main Street Planners page, let me bring that over. And in the Main Street Planners page, in the Join Us tab, um, there is a PDF of the compensation plan. And again, I've got so much stuff on my computer, it's faster for me to find it here. And so let's take a peek at what that looks like. And this, by the way, does go over, what the promotion standards are. We start at planner, and planner is expected to understand the training for structures. And I know it's not available to you yet, so I don't expect you to have that done. But by the time you're ready to promote to 60%, we'll want to have seen 6 deals between you and your organization total, and we want to have you pass the knowledge test for structures, for real estate, and for precious metals. And then by the time you go to 70, we want to see 12 deals through you and your whole team. And we want you to pick up pension factoring and mortgage. And so I think you can kind of see what the promotion standards are within the field supervising office. And so within the field supervising office, there's kind of a couple of ways to answer that question, Donald. Inside a field supervisor's office, here is, I guess you could have someone at 50%, and you could have someone at 60, and you could have someone at 70, and you could have someone at 75. So you could have at least 4 levels inside your field supervisor's office. And so I guess we'll pay through 4 inside the office. But then at some point in time, we'll continue to use the example of Cedric. When Cedric becomes as experienced as you, he'll want to take that same field supervisor's commission. And so he wants an 80% contract. We want to keep him here in the structure at the company. And so we want to give him your same contract. So when he's good enough to take that field supervisor's contract and sign our franchise agreement, we're a franchise, and the field supervisors sign the franchise agreement, and then we give them that same 80% commission. And then at that point in time, then Cedric would be your first generation. And so in this example here on the screen, we've got this guy, I guess Tom, or you, and then when Craig or Cedric in this example takes his first, his office by himself and goes off and is doing, maybe that same kind of volume of 10 cases a month, then you're going to get that 8% royalty on his entire office. And $3,000 into your pocket from the office that Cedric is running. And so to answer the question is, we'll pay 4 offices deep. And so that hopefully ends up being lots of folks. I've done some modeling a little bit. In the compensation plan, we are motivated to build structures of three. We'd like to see, Cedric, we'd like to see Flora, we'd like to see, Michael, we'd like to have you guys go out and become a field supervisor. And when you are a field supervisor, if you have three, if you have three people that you've promoted from your office direct to you, then you become a senior field supervisor. And so that says SFO instead of FSO. I'm gonna have to change that graphic. It's supposed to be field FSO. Anyway, so when we have three FSOs, we become a senior SFO. And then when you are a senior field supervisor, then there's a bonus pool that we plug you into that is just 1% of the revenue of the entire company. And we will split up that 1% of revenue to anyone who qualifies for that pool. And so if there's four of you that qualify for that 1%, then each of you get 1/4 of a share. If there's only one of you that qualify for that, then you get the entire thing. And so we want to see you guys build, building blocks of three. And then the next bonus pool comes into play at national when you have three senior field supervisors. And the next bonus pool comes in when you become an executive and you have three nationals. And so we're hoping that this will motivate our planners, our field supervisors, to go and promote three direct field supervisor offices themselves. We're not going to stop them if they want to do more, but we hope that this will drive them to find three. And the reason why I went so long about this is because the income from the fourth generation of field supervisors, even though it's only 2%, if they're built in that structure, that is more income than you're making on the first three levels combined, just because there's so much more volume and there's so many more people. And so though it pays four offices deep, there's still a great deal of revenue that's coming through from that. So that was a long way to answer a short question. So does that make sense?
Yeah, it was a very thorough answer, and I definitely find myself I'm going to have to go back over this compensation plan and kind of master it. But it's very informative and very inspiring. Makes you want to go down, get busy right now. So definitely we're going to put some more studies into this. I'm still looking to see if we have any questions posted out there, and we are drawing close to our time to be going off. But if you have any questions, do not hesitate to enter them into the chat box, and Gary will more than be happy to answer them for you.
Be happy to
Okay,
address
Gary.
them. And in the meantime, I'm going to see if I can pull up kind of my little pro forma that tells me how much income is generated, from that fourth generation. If you've got, some offices doing 10 deals a month, it's pretty crazy. It's wild. Okay, let's see if I can find it. Okay, let's see. I don't know if I want to show you. It's crazy. I'm going to show you. Okay, so this is a situation where we've got, instead of just kind of 10 deals in the office, and we can back this off, but this is one that I just was messing around with. This is a situation where the field supervisor was making about $3,000 a deal, which is either a smaller amount of income coming in or a less profitable mix for the client than what I showed you earlier. It seems like that field supervisor one I showed you a minute ago was $3,900 a deal. So this is a little more conservative. But this is a situation where in this field supervisor's office, we've got the field supervisor himself doing a couple of personal deals, making $3,000 each deal. And then I'm going to assume here that he was able to find two new guys and help them each find their first one. And so the override To the field supervisor, there was 30% or $1,100. So that creates that other $2,200 of income to the FSO. And then if there's a team that's got an advisor at 60%, where he has a couple of guys that are at 50, there's a total of 3 deals coming from that leg, and the override from that leg was $750 each. So another $2,200 to the field supervisor. When he has a leg at 70%, and this guy's become a senior, or this guy or gal's become a senior advisor, they're starting to kind of do it on their own. The field supervisor's kind of stepping away there. And again, if I've got somebody at 70 and a team of each of those guys doing one, there's a total of 4 coming from that leg. Again, the override's less because the field supervisor doesn't have to do as much. But those 4 deals at $375 each is still paying $1,500. And then at 75%, we've got a team and at branch manager level, which is just about ready to become a field supervisor. The override there is only 5%, but again, it's pretty much being done on their own. So 6 folks in that team leg, each doing 1 deal each. The override's a little smaller, but still $1,100 to the field supervisor. So in this instance, field supervisor's making about 13 grand a month from 17 total deals from their office. So I took that same office volume and assumed that when the first generation guy promoted, Cedric or Michael or Flora, any of you folks, the 8% royalty paid about $300 per client. And this is a little less. Again, I think our past example showed 380 or something. But if there were 17 deals like that coming out at $300 a deal, and if it was built in that structure I was telling you about where there were 3 first generation offices, there's another 15 grand to that promoting field supervisor that worked hard enough to build those 3 offices and spun them off. So again, these are personal promotees that are all on the first generation on the front line. Now, again, I'm just trying to hope that we're going to follow that structure to get into the bonus pools. So I'm assuming that the first generation guys that spin off are each going to try to do 3 first generation themselves so they can get access to that bonus pool. So income back to the original guy from the second generation spinoff. There's 9 offices at this point. They're only getting 6%, which is $225 a deal. But because there's 9 offices generating it, that's $34,000 of income to that field supervisor, which becomes pretty significant income. Fourth generation, third generation again is 4%. Again, I'm assuming that each of these folks are going to work hard and get in that bonus pool for the senior field supervisor's office. So I'm assuming they're going to build 3. So third generation now, I've got 27 field supervisors' offices. I'm only getting 4%, but that's paying me 68 grand. Do you see kind of what I meant by that? Where if we actually build in the structure that the bonus pools motivate us to do, there's powerful income here. Now, I'm not saying that everyone's going to do this just because they join. It's going to take some work and some dedication to the company, and we've obviously got to talk to people to get this done. But there is some financial motivation. Trying to say that fourth generation at 2%. Again, if we build within the structure, there's a lot of income there on that fourth generation. If it was $100,000. Again, if it built out in the structure. So we've got the bonus pools in place to motivate us as planners to build that structure of 3 field supervisors' office. And then the next promotion so we're motivated to become a senior, and then we're also motivated to become a national. So we help our seniors, our 3 that we've broken off. We want them to become seniors because we get another bonus pool, and then we want to help them. So we want to help our field supervisors become seniors, and then we want to help our seniors become nationals, and then we want to help our nationals become executives. And the great thing is everyone's financially motivated to do it, and there's a lot of money in the compensation plan for that. So hopefully that makes sense. But it's there on that compensation plan brochure if you want to take a look at it. If it doesn't make sense, please let me know. I'd love to I'd love to go on and on about it, but I think the compensation plan is very powerful, and there's a lot of money to be had there, in that royalty bonus kind of override situation. So, hopefully that's motivating. But the great thing is, we can go out and sit down at the kitchen table with people and do the right thing and help them actually get their dream of retirement back on track. And we can make great money doing it. And then when there's people that want to go out and share the message with us, well, there's a great opportunity here for them to make money to do it. So I'm wildly excited about what we have. And I'm very excited that you guys have entrusted your time and your future with us here, because there is big opportunities.
Definitely is. And once again, Gary, for those who do not have the compensation guide, where can they find that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna go to the website. So if you just go to mainstreetplanners.com, and it is in the Join Us tab. So Main Street Planners. Let's see if my Firefox will find it here. Main Street Planners. So sorry for the delay, but so go to the website and then just come on over to Join Us. And it is, oh, geez, okay. And let me skip this over so I can find it because my control panel's in the way. So Join Us, and then it's just right down here. It's available a couple of times in the Join Us page. Download the compensation plan here. And
Okay,
I need to
awesome.
post the one that says FSO instead of SFO. Anyway, I'll get that updated.
Okay, okay.
Someone
Now,
type me a
once
question.
again, for okay, great.
Someone send me a question. I feel bad.
Well, you did such a great job. Everybody here is now totally enlightened. We can go out and make millions of dollars in this off of one training.
Well,
But
you know,
go ahead.
let me close with just one thing, Donald. Um, I love the direct sales model, and I love the opportunity that we have here to become a field supervisor and build that passive income. And I don't know of anything that does it faster. And I'm not trying to be get rich quick, but if we're gonna spend our time building some company, building a business somewhere, we should be compensated to the max for our time. And there's a lot of people out there working in inferior opportunities, and I don't want to run anybody down. I'm just going to say, if we want to spend our time, we should do it where we get the best return on our time's investment. And here we work in a business that has big commissions, and so we can get to our goals faster. And so the people deserve to hear what we're doing, because we don't want them spending time in a situation where they're not getting return on their investment. And so, for instance, say that I worked really hard and I was able to go out and build 3 first generation field supervisors, and I had this income, this royalty income of 15 grand per month. Now, for me, I can either try to save a whole bunch of money to create some passive income, even using alternative assets. If for me to go out, I'm going to probably need 400 or 500 grand, maybe 600 grand to create this kind of return, even in our assets. But if we were at the bank, and if I had my money invested somewhere safe, like in a CD, to create 15 grand a month in passive income, let me tell you how much we'd have to have invested or sitting at the bank in a CD to create that same passive income stream. Because I'm going to say we could try to save the money, or we could go out and build a team that's going to pay us this kind of income. Because to me, the only way I'm going to get there is to go out and build this kind of an organization, because I don't have a whole bunch of millions of dollars to make this happen. So that's $180,000 a year in passive income. So if I had my money, and I wish I'd have had this before so I wouldn't be taking this delay, but I think it's worth talking about. If I was getting $180,000, and if I had my money in the bank on a CD paying me 1.5%, Let me find out how much money I'd have to have. I'd have to have $12 million invested in the bank today at 1.5% to get a $15,000 a month income stream. So I hope that makes sense. Because I could either try to go amass $12 million, or I could go build me a team that's going to create 3 first-generation FSO offices to pay me that same $15,000. Does that make sense, or did I get crazy? I hope it makes sense. Did I lose you guys? Are you still there?
Okay, I'm here. I'm sorry. I thought I was off mute. But $12 million to get 15,000 back. If
Well,
that's
in order for me to get 15 grand a month, if I was invested at the bank in a CD, which is paying about 1.5%, that's
about
$180,000 a year of passive income that's just coming. I'd have to have $12 million to generate that same 15 grand a month. So for me, I got a way better chance of going to create 3 first-generation field supervisors offices than to create $12 million somehow.
man.
So
It makes sense to me. Makes
So,
sense to
so,
me.
so powerful stuff. Michael
Well,
Singleton had a question. He said he had a hard time getting on. Michael, we recorded this, so I'll get it posted. It'll probably take us. I won't be able to do it today. I'm not the techie. I'll have to hand it to our techie guys, and we'll see if we can get that done Monday or Tuesday.
great, great. Also, for those that did join us late, such as Mike and a few others, uh, we're going to be doing a go-to-meeting training next Saturday, 10 a.m. Central Time. I know some people went to our usual meeting place on Skype, and we weren't there, so they called in late. But be looking for a link from me around Thursday or no later than Friday as for this particular training. Gary, I'm going to ask if you would be able to join us next week and give us some more training on one of the other asset
Sure,
classes.
sure. We'll go through real estate next week.
Great, great. And for those who have the opportunity, please go pull down that compensation uh, information off of the website. Put some time into looking it over so when we get together next Saturday, if there are any questions or anything that you want to have more clarity on, we can definitely pose that question to Gary. Okay? So once again, Gary, I want to thank you very much for taking the time out of your very busy schedule for joining us and giving us this training today. This has been very enlightening and encouraging for myself, and I'm sure for those who joined us. And for those who also gave up their time to come to the training, I want to thank you. And looking forward to joining you on the call next Saturday, 10 a.m. Central Time. Be on time. Bring pencil, paper so you can take notes and look forward to seeing you then. Gary, thank you.
Thanks, Donald. Appreciate you guys. Let's go build a dynasty, okay?
We'll do it.
All right. Have a great day.